Hyperbola. A hyperbola is formed when a vertical plane intersects a double-napped cone. It is defined as the set of all points on a plane whose absolute difference between the distances from two fixed points f sub 1 and f sub 2 is constant. So we have the center, foci, vertices, and asymptotes as for the parts of the graph. Okay, like an ellipse, each of the two fixed points, f sub 1 and f sub 2, is called a focus. But then there are two focus, that is why it will be called foci of the hyperbola. Then the two fixed points on a hyperbola that lie on the principal axis are the vertices. Still, there are two vertex, b sub 1 and b sub 2. Next is the midpoint of the transverse axis, which is the center of the hyperbola. And for the asymptotes, it is a line which is getting closer and closer to the graph, to the curve of the hyperbola, getting closer and closer, pero dili gud siya mo intersect. Okay? We have here the graph of hyperbola with center at the origin. So let's start with the center. So if the center is at the origin, the center will be 0 and 0. 0, 0. Then for the foci, f sub 1 and f sub 2. So we have the ordered pairs negative c, 0 and c, 0. And for the vertices, v sub 1 and v sub 2, negative a, 0 and a, 0. For the a, so we have here, this is the distance of a. So mo ni siya a, and this is the distance of b. From the center to the vertex, one of the vertices, so mo siya a. So if the distance between the two vertices, mo na siya mahimong 2a. So it will be called transverse axis. Okay, basta 2a. And transverse axis is horizontal if the graph is ganing forma. Okay. Next, this is from the center to the pababaw or paubos. So it will become the distance of the b, or it is called as conjugate axis. We have the ordered pair 0b and 0 negative b. And for the center to the focus, it's either padung ana or padung diri. So mo na siya c, kani c. So that is called focal distance. Okay, from the center to the other focus. And this rectangle here is called auxiliary rectangle. Kaning na form nga rectangle. Ni intersect na siya sa vertex. And these broken lines here, x ug forma, cross, nilata sa center, that is called asymptotes. So getting closer and closer to the curve, kani, pero dili na sila mag-intersects. So this line here, padung man dito sa left, meaning y equals negative b over a times x. And this one padung sa right, y equals b over a times x. And the same parts on the vertical nga graph, pabarog. Okay? So we have here the v sub 2, v sub f sub 2, v sub 1, f sub 1. Mamaora na siya sa ellipse. Ang naalang diri is the auxiliary rectangle. Kani. Pahigda pod. And then, the asymptotes, the same thing, basta padung sa left, negative a over b times x. Mura ni kalainan nila. Inverse na gibali. Then, diri, padung sa right, a over b times x. So we have here the standard equation or standard form. If the graph is horizontal, is mag-una si x squared. Okay? Over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. Una si x squared. And then for vertical, so mag-una si y squared over a squared. Sunod. We have the graph of hyperbola with center at h and k. So, dili na siya at the origin. So, we have here the graph. So, mag-una siya ni x. Then, sunod is, diri is y. So, na siya h and k because x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. Nya sa if vertical, y minus k squared over a squared minus x minus h squared over b squared equals 1. So we have here the graph if horizontal, pahigda. So we have here the center, so h and k na yung ordered pair. Then the f sub 2, tara, h minus c, comma, k. Baliktad na. F sub 1 man na. Then the other one is h plus c, comma, k. So we have here the vertex, h minus a, comma, k, and the other is h plus a, comma, k. For the asymptotes, we have y minus k, kaya na naman kay center, so kauban ni y si k, kauban ni x si h. So the same thing, negative b over a. And then the other one is y minus k, kani, y minus k equals positive b over a times x minus h. So, mamara na sila, gibalira na sa vertical. Okay? So, again, transverse axis is equivalent to 2a. And for conjugate axis, which is the 2b. And in getting C, we need to use the Pythagorean Theorem, which is C equals square root of A squared plus B squared. Since C is greater than A, mo na siyang, dili na ninyo balibalihon ang A ug ang B, only the X and the Y. Okay? In getting B, it is equal to c squared minus a squared. So you will just simply use the Pythagorean theorem. example of graphing a hyperbola. So we have here the center is not at the origin. So we have the center which is -2 and 1. So you will just simply find the inverse or binali of the sign, which is +2, binali niya is -2, and then -1, may +1. For the vertices, just simply follow the formula for the foci and asymptotes.